said clear.
I said it looks clear.
What's it look like now?
Looks clear.
Hey friends, it's time again for Once More with Feelings. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Beth. Our movie podcast is about digging into the emotions that movies stir up and how they affect us.
This movie didn't have a lot of emotions.
I think it did.
I mean, it did and it didn't.
I think that's incorrect.
I mean, emotions of annoyance and
I think there was more here to plumb. There are more depths.
You'll probably be able to pull it out of me because right now I can honestly say indifference. But
this is Pitch Black. It's a 2000 American science fiction horror film, directed by David Twohy and co-written by Twohy and brothers Kevin and Jim Wheat. The story follows a group of spaceship crash survivors stranded on a remote desert planet with 3 sons. Among them is Richard B. Riddick, a dangerous convict with surgically enhanced night vision. As the survivors explore the planet, they discover it is inhabited by deadly nocturnal creatures that emerge during a rare total eclipse. With the eclipse approaching, the group must rely on Riddick's unique abilities to survive the darkness and escape the planet. My God, that was the longest summary. That felt like I just talked about the entire movie. And also, his underwear size was... I mean, it's just too much.
Well, and normally I have, a shopping list of actors, but this time I picked and chose only the 4 that I kind of cared about. Not so much that I cared about them, but just the 4 that I thought should be named.
Yeah.
I have Rada Mitchell, who plays Carolyn Fry, who was not the captain of the ship.
Correct.
She makes that pretty clear throughout most of the movie. Vin Diesel, obviously. Claudia Black, because she's called Claudia Black, and she played Shazza. And if you don't know, how are you even listening to us? Because honestly, we're nerds, and she's awesome. And, Farscape. And Cole Hauser, who I honestly didn't realize who he was. He plays William Johns. But I worked in a location where almost everybody I worked with watched Yellowstone. And he is a female favorite. He plays Rip on Yellowstone.
Yeah, he was also in Dazed and Confused, so...
Yes, but I just know I couldn't even place him from Dazed and Confused, because in this, I feel like he looked like nobody I recognized.
Yeah, I think that comes through.
Yeah.
How did you feel upon first watching this back in the day? Did you see it?
Yes, I did.
In the day?
I did not want to see it. I had no interest in it. The only thing I can vaguely remember is just the idea of this guy being able to see in the dark. That was really all I remember.
Well, you did. You remembered it correctly, because that was it. It's a man that can see in the dark. And you just did it.
And I was in my sci-fi phase of which never really fully left me, but being that I was really into Farscape and Claudia Black from that, so I didn't even remember she was in the movie, so I'm pretty sure I did not watch it because of her, because I didn't remember she was in it. But I don't remember if I remembered enjoying it, but I don't remember having too many thoughts and feels about it other than it's a sci-fi movie. It just didn't have any, I didn't have any emotional attachment to it.
Yeah, and that's valid. So for me, is not different at all. That is the same. I had no emotional attachment to this sci-fi movie. It was really the first in the Chronicles of Riddick. And it is the introduction to Riddick.
I've never seen any of the others, so.
Right. So the themes of it are pretty obvious. Guy can see in the dark. And they play pretty heavily on that being very special. Well, even though it seems like it's a pretty common thing, at least, in the prison system in which you never see daylight.
Yes.
Which I don't know how that works out.
I don't know, but I do know that around that time they were releasing cosmetic contact lenses called shine jobs, and then you can actually buy them and have Riddick's eyes.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
So, yeah, and that's what they call it, shining. To shine the eyes is to do whatever it takes to, like, kind of like a cat's eyes where it has the back shine to it.
Yeah, it's like the pupil has like a whitish glow.
Well, the entire iris, really. But yeah. So the themes of the entire movie are survival. It's for survival. And you have Riddick, who is a convict with a heart of gold. Well, no, he's just
no, he's just the dick.
he has a heart. He's actually not a dick in the movie. He doesn't lie to them.
No, he's pretty honest.
He doesn't. He's antagonistic, but he is tied up most of the time, so of course he's antagonistic. You would be too. He isn't the nicest guy, but he's not that much of an asshole. He helps people out when they need help. He points things out without sugarcoating it.
Yeah.
And he's not shooting up heroin.
Exactly.
Or morphine, sorry. Morphine.
Which was a piece of shit. I mean, this goes to
Which
show
they call
you.
it spiking.
Yeah, and also she says that, she calls him hype when Johns is injecting the morphine into his eye.
Right.
Which is actually like an old slang for morphine and heroin users.
I thought she was saying spiked.
No, she said hype. I should have known you were a hype. And apparently, yeah, that was a thing that they did back in the 40s through up to the early 60s. I had no idea.
Well, it's nice to know that Becton and Dickinson still exist in that time because the ampules that he uses, or the small injectables that he uses, are actually BD. That it says it on the side.
Yeah.
We made those.
Yeah. I was going to say
our manufacturing, made things like that. So, yeah. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, there's like a lot of things. There were a lot of things like that were interesting about the movie from the outside looking in. Like when I was doing my research.
Well, let's try to go through it kind of chronologically and hit the high points.
Okay.
So we have the initial catalyst for all of this. We have everybody that's on the ship, a transport ship of some type.
Yes.
And on board, just like you have in real life, for airplanes and stuff, sometimes criminals are transported on board.
Yes.
In this case, it's a spaceship, and you have who we now know to be Riddick, locked and chained in this cryo capsule, and everyone else is in their cryo capsule. And as the trope of the movie, little meteors go through and don't destroy the ship, but they damage it heavily and kill the captain. And many others, actually.
Yes. And the ship's name is actually called the Hunter Gratzner.
Right.
Yes.
Named after the famous Hunter Grabster.
Gratzner.
It's a Russian ship, we should note.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes.
How'd I miss that? Oh, yeah.
Because it said it at the start of it.
And I really didn't care.
Unless I misheard it, and it's something with R on it. But I don't know. But if BD exists, Becton Dickinson exists in this realm, then that means Earth exists in this realm. Then we have Muslims. So we have a lot of mixes of what we would consider, our time stuff.
It was a diverse cast, I would have to say. Given,
sure.
I mean, in the sense that there are other people of color. There are people of color in the cast, and they aren't just all white people. I'll give it that much.
That's true. Yeah. A lot of it has to do with what I'm going to assume is the location in which it was shot, which is probably Australia.
Yes, it was South Australia. It's Coober Pedy.
Yeah, since everybody was, Australian in the film, except for Riddick and a couple of others.
Because Radha Mitchell, you could hear every once in a while her Australian come through, and you're like, oh, girlfriend, you're not paying attention.
You can
to
always tell when an Australian's affecting an American accent.
Yeah.
Because they do it, they have to be very deliberate. Mm-hmm. Unless they spent time in the States and they can kind of rattle it off, usually they have to be very deliberate.
Coober Pedy, where the movie was filmed, is basically an empty area. It's a mining town, but there's not many people there. Vin Diesel was amazed by how empty and open it was when he was there filming, because he felt like, he grew up in New York and he had, thousands of people living in his building. So to only have a few people around him at all times was a bit weird for him. But there were a lot of movies. It's actually an area where they do film a lot of movies, considering there's nothing there. And I didn't list all the movies, but I did put one of my favorites on it, which is Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, was filmed in Coober Pedy.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. So when the ship is damaged, there's a decision that has to be made by the co-pilot, not the pilot.
Not the pilot.
Or not the captain,
yeah.
But I guess the first mate or the co-pilot of the ship. She has to make a decision. And that is where I think her entire storyline takes the turn. Mm-hmm. Because she decides she's going to eject these people as they're falling into a planet they didn't expect to be at.
Yeah. Because they've been knocked off course.
Due to the damage, yes. So she is going to jettison the cargo, which are the people.
Yes.
There's a man on the crew who is, I guess, the navigator or something like that. And he is in another part of the ship, not that far away, but closed off by bulkheads. Mm-hmm. And he is directing her, trying to give her information. And he realizes she's trying to jettison the cargo, and he's yelling for her not to.
Yeah. But he's also yelling at her, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, for everything she's trying to do. And it's like, I'm sorry, I don't work under that type of pressure.
Well, yeah, but this is a pressure situation. Whether you work that way or not,
I know,
it's going to be a thing. People want information. They want you to communicate.
Yeah.
And he is trying to get her to do something. Now, I don't know if you noticed in the movie, because a lot of people miss it, but she decides not to jettison it at first. At first. Do you know why she didn't jettison it the second time?
It jammed.
Did it?
Something stuck.
Think about it. We just watched it. What did the navigator do right before the cutscene happens?
What is he?
He's yelling at her and he gets out of his seat. Do you know why he got out of his seat? Look at the door behind him. He put a brace in the door so it wouldn't close.
Oh, so then she couldn't. I didn't catch that.
He saved their lives.
Oh, shit.
She didn't know it, but the reason why it would not jettison is because the doors were not able to close because he put a brace in it.
I didn't notice that. No,
okay,
because there's so much shit happening at the one
time.
I'll
tell you a secret. I have watched this maybe 20 or 30 times over the years, because this is from 2000.
Yeah.
This is from the millennium. So I only noticed it today.
Oh, wow.
I was paying very close attention to this first sequence because I couldn't figure out why she wasn't able to jettison it. It was like maybe they show something. And that's when I realized he had gotten up and put a brace in.
Okay.
To stop her from being able to do it.
Yeah, I never noticed that before. And I have seen this movie a few times, not as many as you have. Because again, it was always on cable, basic cable, HBO, blah, 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 blah. And so we would watch it a lot. But I did not, because you know how I watch things anyway. Yeah, I didn't notice that. That's pretty awesome, though, for him.
So this is the thing where people think that she had this moral choice, and she made her moral choice.
Well, she didn't, though, because even if it did jam, even if he hadn't done that and it jammed, she was still gonna do it.
Yes.
There was no moral dilemma. She was gonna fucking do it.
Right, but that's not the issue.
Yeah.
The issue isn't whether or not she did it; is whether or not she lived with it after the fact.
Yes.
So when they crash land, she has to come to terms
That
with the fact that she actually was going to murder these people.
Yes.
And now that they're okay, quote unquote, okay on this planet, how does she reconcile that with continuing to be around them?
She kind of...
That's been glossed over a
Yeah.
lot. I mean, it is a component in the film, but it's glossed over a lot for Riddick and Johns.
Yes, because it kind of focuses on their story.
And I don't know if you noticed, I'm not sure if it was done on purpose or not. It could have just been the lighting later on in the movie, but I really truly believe it was done on purpose. Johns is a lot prettier when he starts out.
Mm-hmm. He gets uglier.
He's more handsome when he starts out. After that, he gets... less appealing as it goes, and not because of his attitude.
No.
We're talking about the way the lighting hits him, the way the camera positioned looking at him is no longer in favor of Johns.
Yeah.
It's almost like the camera... there are a lot of strange transitions in the film that don't seem to coincide. If you take them individually and go, what was that about? Why would you do this?
The one with the eyes, when they kept going back and forth between his eyes, John's and Riddick's eyes, really up close. That was a weird little transition.
Yeah,
there.
but I'm talking about like the color change. So when it inverts the colors, when I don't know what the guy's name is. I don't think he had one. Just the survivor walks up and he gets killed. As he's walking up and it changes, it inverts the color or the contrast.
Oh, yeah.
When those happen, it's a couple of cuts of that. And it's to heighten the atmosphere, but to me it just looks silly.
Yeah, because there's a lot of parts where, like, 1 minute everything is very saturated in orange light.
Right.
And the next it's almost... oversaturated in white blue light where it's bleeding out. It's almost like season 1 Supernatural where it's that weird, not quite sepia tone, but kind of washed out effect.
Exactly. Shot it on your father's VHS camera. Yes. And that is something that I noticed is that the camera work is often, it's not as outright as you think it is. In many cases, the camera work is there to highlight these moments. But then you see those more subtle times where they're using it to inform you of how that person is feeling or how that person...
Oh, yeah.
Their morality compass.
And
if they're moral, they look better. And they tend to look better as, the camera makes them look better when they're more moral after you find out Johns is an addict.
Well,
not before, because John's, it's the appearance from the point of view of the camera.
Yeah.
John seems like the hero, so therefore he must be prettier.
And then once the camera realizes that he's not,
right,
it changes. Okay, that is actually pretty good. But also, Claudia Black is beautiful through the whole entire thing because she is not morally compromised.
No, she's a hardworking individual. She's just trying to make it through life, and then of course, cut in half by birds, leather birds.
So my thoughts on these creatures are they are a combination of 4 different things. They are a cassowary, hammerhead, kitsune, drowning banshee.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, sure.
If you throw all of those things together in little bits and pieces, because it's got the tail end kind of has a kitsune feel about it to me. It's got like hands with claws, which reminded me of a banshee, weirdly enough. But then it has that weird, elongated, almost like the axe beaks.
Right.
But different. Like, yeah.
I think anytime you go with a semi-reptilian creature and then add different features like, I don't know, a catamount, stuff like that, then you're going to have a nice, scary amalgam of something. I don't know that too much was placed on the creatures themselves. Yeah. They all were different creatures. You had flying ones. You had different kinds of flying ones. You had different kinds of bimodal and quadmodal creatures. So you had all kinds of different ones. The ones they focused on the most were, of course, the little bat-like creatures.
Yes.
And the blade heads. They were very fast. And then the the ones with the beaks.
And the only reason why and it really kind of caught my attention the most was when Jack is pinned underneath the bones, and it's hammering at it with, or axing at it with its axe beak. And so it just made me think of just a bunch of different things.
Right.
But the cassowary was like the first thing I thought of. I don't know why.
Yeah, so the most obvious thing here is that it's survival oriented. You're trying to survive a hostile planet, and they don't really know how hostile it is. Honestly, I think it was hostile enough for them to all be dying of thirst.
Yeah.
We have a desert planet, and it's desert until nighttime, but nighttime doesn't come except maybe every 22 years or maybe every month. They find out that it does have a total eclipse because it has a mobile showing this happening.
Yeah, what are the astrolabs? Is that what it's called? Yeah.
And you can see that when she moves it around, that it does turn into a lasting darkness, but you don't know how long.
Yeah, how long the
Now, if
lasting
you were to
is.
take every click, which every click I think was supposed to be a year, it sounded to me like when she was turning it back and forth about 7 or 8 years, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing.
We don't really know. And I know that the one gentleman said that it was a lasting darkness because the two planets they moved together for a while.
Right. And he had read the notes from the geologists
Yes.
who had died there. So this place had been lived in before. And that's what they find is this entire group of buildings
settlement.
and stuff, which are very fragile. They're not meant to hold things out.
No, because they didn't know.
Right. And they were digging. And what they were digging for was just core samples to get probably surveying.
Yeah.
So the whole point of this is that they're there to survive. They're there to try to make it through until they can get off the planet.
Yes.
Like either get someone to come in or
For
them to get out somehow. And they find a ship there.
Yeah, like a little hopper.
It's a skiff.
A skiff.
Is what they call it. But yeah, it's there, but it has no power. So they have to, well, it has power. It has just enough power to do checks, I think. But they didn't have enough to go beyond that. They have the other batteries, power supplies at the ship, at the main ship, so they have to go back for them.
Yes.
But Johns doesn't want to go back because he's afraid that Riddick, who is going to kill them all or just leave them and take off with the one working spacecraft. But we see that throughout the film, the only person who has been moral is Riddick.
Yeah, really.
Pretty much. The three people that were actually moral are the three that survived.
Yeah, really.
Now, the kids, I don't know how you determine their morality because they get no real time.
Yeah.
But I say of the people who have lines, the people who speak, the people who do something other than screaming their death, they have these moral choices that they've all made. And each one of them is morally right in their own heads, and they survived.
Yes. And I don't necessarily think that the two Muslim kids are amoral. Was it two or three?
I'm saying I don't think that they weren't main characters.
They weren't main characters.
They were produced to die.
Now,
yes.
Did they listen when everyone said stay together? Not always.
No, but I don't think it's about being.
No. I know that they had mentioned in the research that the hardest part was getting them to not want to face east, which is because they were trying to do the whole, at the suns and not Mecca. So that was interesting to read. There's a lot of interesting things I did find about this movie outside of the movie.
Yeah. So that is my belief that the survivors are the ones who were most morally and not Christian morality.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about religion.
Not a religious morality. I'm talking about just moral as a human being.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, the kids who were with the Muslim gentleman, they were just, they weren't main characters, and they didn't have the main character plot line, so they didn't have to, it wasn't about morality for them. And there were people who died who were innocent deaths, but the three of the main crew, I guess, yeah, I mean,
that's just something I noticed, that they're the ones that told the truth.
Yeah, good or bad, they did tell the truth.
Yeah.
Because Jack lies about themselves, even though it was nobody's business until, unfortunately, it was somebody's business. But it was really...
Jack wasn't lying. Jack just didn't say anything.
No.
And they assumed something based on their own preconceived notions of what of misogyny.
Yeah, Jack's full name is Jack Be Bad.
Yeah, well...
That's about right.
I'm not going to say that this film is high-minded.
No.
What I'm saying is there were the things that are in it, there is some thought put towards, or circumstance led it to be a lot deeper on accident.
Well, what I think is funny is that it inspired a Doctor Who episode.
Which one?
Planet of the Dead, which was the Easter episode with Lady Christina. Not one of my favorite episodes.
No, but I can see that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I believe that was the first episode after Donna? It wasn't after Rose. No, it might have been after... I just know it was right after, it was like one of his times where he was by himself. So it was either after Donna or...
I want to say it was after Donna, but I could be wrong.
Because it was 2009. Honestly,
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's been so long. So yeah, that whole... Now, granted, they didn't go into the darkness, but they did have these creatures swarming and chasing after them, very similar to the swarm of creatures in...
Right.
Which, when in the beginning, when it starts to go... when the sun's starting to set and the planet's starting to come in front of it, and they start to come out, the creatures are coming out of the holes in the ground, that just smacked of, like, the swallow, not swallows, well, the little birds, when they do starlings, when they do those swarms that kind of flow back and forth, that...
as they're going after
I'm moving my
insects.
arm back and forth like y'all can see me doing this. But yeah, that's what it reminded me of,
Yeah, and I think that was exactly what it was supposed to portray.
Yeah.
Is something that's actually actively looking for food.
And it's weird that they can fly, but they have no wings.
Well, the ones that are flying do.
They did? I thought
Yeah, they have
all...
leathery wings, yes.
It was so
They're
hard.
not the same creatures. These are all different creatures.
And see, and I think that was where I have a hard time with it, is because I don't like dark movies, because I have a hard time differentiating different things within a dark movie. And there was a lot of dark. When you see the creatures, it's a lot of darkness, because you're not really supposed to see them, because the normal human eye can't really see in the dark that well. I think that's why I missed that
they were very
creatures.
bat-like, or I would say less bat-like, more like the size of a bat, like a pterodactyl being the size of a bat.
I just thought they were different sizes of the same.
No, they're different creatures.
Okay, so that's where I've always screwed
It
up
could
with this.
be. Now, I don't know what the lore is. It could be that the smaller creatures that can fly are actually the baby versions of the bigger ones.
Yeah, I
don't
literally just
know.
thought that they were different sizes.
But they all live in the same environment, which is under the crust of the earth, of the planet.
Yes.
So I don't want to say of the earth, because that would
'Cause
make it
it's-
seem like that's the earth, but it's not. So we have Riddick, who follows his own moral code, and we have a few others that follow theirs. But most of this is deciding who's going to live and who dies.
Yeah.
Because throughout the film, we have Johns, who has flipped his script, and Riddick has as well, where they both become the thing that everyone thought they were initially. It's the opposite. So Johns is an addict, but he's an asshole as well. And he has no moral code. He's actually trading throughout the film. He trades people their lives for betraying someone else.
Well, yeah. So he knew that he had morphine in his possession. And when the captain was dying and she was looking for somebody to get the medic, a medic kit.
Not the captain, the navigator.
The navigator, when he was dying. And she, she's like trying to get some help for him so he could at least die painlessly. That bitch didn't say anything. He did not once say, hey, yeah, I got some meds in my back. No, he goes, no, it blew off. There's no med bay, you know.
Well, he just stays silent.
Yeah, so what a dick. I mean, he just didn't help anybody. He was just, you know, he's supposed to be the lawman of sorts, you know.
In a lot of ways, this reminds me of the Langoliers.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, no, I see that one too.
Where, you know, you have the people on the plane, and then they are betraying one another for the most part. You have a few moral people who survive.
Yeah.
And you have a few immoral people who make the wrong decisions as they go and either get changed or they die.
Oh my gosh. Now, if the cassowary hammerhead banshees were eating thyme, this totally could have been a better version of the Langoliers.
Instead, they're eating light.
Without, what's his face, Balky, because that was not very good. It wasn't a very good remake of it. You know, Angry Balky makes me angrier.
So Jack is kind of mimicking Riddick. Jack is this young kid, and he idealizes who we think of as he now, right now at this point in the film, idolizes Riddick, at least thinks he's badass.
Yes.
And so cuts his hair like
Shaves
Riddick,
it, yeah.
shaves it down, and then starts wearing goggles.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because somebody says, we know who won the look-alike contest.
Right. So we have the captain, I'm not your captain, and she is making decisions, trying to help everyone survive. I think less due to her own morality and more about
her guilt.
Because
I think it's the only reason why she was so intent on finding that one guy's body.
Right.
Because when they all thought that Riddick killed him, and then he's like, you got to look in the ground, and she's like, we did, and you got to look deeper. I think her insistence, I myself would have been like, okay, under the ground deeper. Okay, shit, body's going to stay there. I'm sorry, but we're in a fight or flight situation, and I can't deal with that right now. I've got other things, the living I need to worry about. But no, she was very insistent on finding that body, and that's why she went underground. Again, underground, you can't pay me.
She doesn't lack for courage.
Mm-hmm.
She just lacks for a moral compass that allows her to view other people as more important than herself.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that everyone makes in everyday life. You make these individual decisions.
Oh, yeah.
She made that decision then at that time. And did it make sense? Probably yes.
Probably yes.
Probably would have been a good thing to jettison the cargo and save what you can of the ship and of yourself.
Yes.
Is it the right thing to do? Probably not, but it's a human response to, the fight or flight scenario.
It would not have been my thought process, but I've not been put in that position to have to
who
make
has,
that.
really?
Yeah, so
until we're in a spacecraft millions of miles away.
I mean, being put in a position of sacrificing the masses
for the greater good. It's not really the greater good if the greater good gets jettisoned.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So it's just the good, not the greater good. You're good.
If the ship's gonna crash anyway, why?
Yeah, we're really entering a trolley car situation.
Yeah,
so I really don't want to ponder which one is morally right. I'm just saying for her at the time,
be put in that position, I cannot say that would have been my choice.
I think we can philosophize, but there's a very easy way to know if something's wrong.
Oh yeah.
Are you a dick when you make that decision? And at the time, that was a dick move. Mm-hmm. So much so that the navigator prevented her from doing it because he was not a dick.
And he knew that it was going to happen. He knew she was going to continue to make that choice.
Throughout the film, Riddick is mean. Mm-hmm. He's
Riddick.
He is a creeper in a lot of instances, being really close talking.
I like how your hair smells.
I know. Ooh, your hair smells great, Janet. I don't understand why the close talking. I think they just wanted some close-ups and make it seem scary. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's just like, dude, I stink. I just don't want you near me.
So it's funny is the temperatures in the desert when they were filming, it took them like 62 days to film this. They didn't get above 50 degrees. So all of the sweat was misted onto them.
They imported it in.
They had
from
to import.
Perth.
Yes, from Perth. Any Australians who are listening, we're sorry, but we don't know anything about your country, and we just know that it wants to kill us.
I know Perth. That's what I know.
Everything I know about Australia, I learned from Baz Luhrmann.
From Australia.
So there you go.
I know that most of it's trying to kill me.
And Crocodile Dundee.
I know that this film is very true to Australia and that most of it's trying to kill you.
I like the name of the town, Coober Pedy, because I like saying it, Coober Pedy.
It's adorable. But also deadly.
Yes.
Carolyn Fry makes her decisions. Everybody in this makes their decisions. They either harm them or help them.
Yes.
Most of the time it harms them. Very few people, the people that make the right decisions are the ones who it helps.
Yes.
So it's almost like there's a karmic law in effect in this world. Mm-hmm. Or in this reality that we have. And it kind of follows along with, there's this religious context from the Muslims being there, but not much else.
Yes. They do talk about God in their sense of having a strong faith in something.
Right.
And Riddick commenting how, he just doesn't have that faith in anything but himself. And, and then John's, who doesn't have faith in anything but his drugs, so.
And we have the rich guy who has faith in
yes.
anything but his own monetary evaluation and his stuff that he collects.
Yes.
He's a collector of things. What they're drinking is alcohol that he has collected.
Yes.
Drinking alcohol in desert.
Yeah, sure.
Concepts, yeah, that makes sense.
But it's the only liquid you have.
Because it's liquid doesn't mean you should be drinking it,
That's true.
even if you're out of liquid.
That's true. Because it'll just dehydrate you more, yeah.
Yeah, unless they were smart enough to, I don't know, get rid of the alcohol. They'd have very little water left, but they would also have less alcohol.
But the alcohol, the spirits, come in handy later on when they have to burn them.
Sure it does.
Except in reality, that would never have glowed like that, but sure. Space alcohol.
Are we going to get into the fact that the bioluminescent creatures weren't actually putting out light, as it were, that would harm a creature? Mm-hmm. Yes, it's entirely likely that if light, white light, or what we call white light, the visible spectrum is what hurts the creatures,
yes,
then there'd be a very specific wavelength that harms them.
Yes. But
all these different light sources they use. So it's just saying just all visible light hurts them.
Flashlight light was hurting them. And come on.
All visible light hurts these creatures, but no other form of light hurts them.
Now, I got it when she flashes the flashlight and it blinds Riddick. Well, I can understand that blinding him because his eyes are sensitive to darkness. That made sense. It oversaturated everything, yeah. But when they're using that same flashlight to burn the skin on the creatures, well, that's just kind of weird.
Again, if it's visible light, I get that. But if it's all light, then the light that Riddick is seeing by is also harming them, but they don't seem to be afraid of it.
Yeah.
Because Riddick cannot see in total darkness. Yeah. He has to have some visible light or some kind of light.
There has to be, because even cats
in order for his eyes to pick it up.
The reason why cats can see in the dark is because they can absorb all of the extra light. Like they can see.
Right. You put a cat in a room of total darkness, it'll trip over every piece of furniture, which I think we should try, and it would be pretty funny.
Oh my gosh, cat boy, do you hear that? We're going to get you, boy.
But yeah, so we have Jack, who is idolizing Riddick, and we have Carolyn, who is still trying to figure out her own place here. Is she in charge or not?
Yes.
And she keeps trying to be in charge, but we have Johns, who is firmly saying, I've got the guns.
Yes.
And I will be a dick if I have to.
Yes.
We're going to do this, and we're not going to include Riddick in this survival scenario. He's going to help us as a pack mule, but nothing beyond that.
Well, and then he tries to convince Riddick to kill Jack. That no one's going to know to use Jack as bait. Right. And no one's going to notice. And what's one more person that you killed? Da 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 da.
Well, he wanted to drag a body behind them.
Yes.
So I think they'd notice the body.
Yeah, you'd think.
I'm not sure what dragging the body behind them would do other than help them trail you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just gonna.
It would help track you easier.
Yeah, I didn't really understand.
I've
that
never been
myself.
on an alien planet, so I don't really know.
Exactly. I mean, ew.
They lose a couple of people due to sheer foolishness.
Yes.
The survivor who just showed up and then he got shot to death by the Aborigines fellow. I don't.
Yeah, the
know
one.
his name.
Yeah, Ryan or something like that.
Yeah. And then Ryan, who we're going to say is now
Is
called Ryan.
because I
He's
can't
now
think of his
Ryan.
name.
He gets pulled under into a shaft of darkness under the ground because he decided he wanted to look around, and apparently that flashlight did not help him.
Yeah, weirdly. Yeah, and then later on, Claudia Black is killed because they start getting attacked by the things when they're heading back to the skiff, and she just panics. I guess they're like, they told her to stay still, and I guess she didn't stay still, and then the things came and got her. I don't know. They were yelling at her to lay down.
Well, yeah, because Riddick has these reflexes that are greater than human.
Yes.
And I think in the Chronicles of Riddick, I think we find out that he is not human.
Okay.
I think he's actually called Spartan, but he's genetically engineered.
Okay.
And the night vision is something that was given that he got after that had nothing to do with his birth or anything else. Riddick, I don't know if he actually knows who he is. I think he actually has memory loss.
Oh.
So you find that out in another thing where he's had his memory erased or something like that.
Okay, that makes sense.
We should watch all that again just because they're not unentertaining. They are kind of entertaining, and they're not our typical genre. They're really like sci-fi action.
Yeah. And like, I know that something was in my research. I was trying to not, because things were overlapping with the other Riddick movies. So I was trying to not get any of the information from the other movies since we were talking about this one. But there was something mentioned that he was a ranger and that he was betrayed or something like that. So, and that's why he went on the killing spree.
It's either that or First Blood. I'm not sure which movie.
Yeah, I'm not sure now. So, and honestly, I didn't want to get too far into it, so I kind of like blocked most of that out. But Ranger stuck in my head. But like I said, I didn't want to kind of overlap any of the other Riddick movies in with this one since we were only talking about this one.
Yeah, but I think it informs it because you have to understand that Riddick not being fully human or not being human makes this a film about an alien on an alien planet with different aliens who die by aliens in an alien environment during an alien time of day.
He likes the kid.
So you want to bypass the alien? Okay.
Okay, there's a lot of alien things going on.
He likes Jack.
He likes Jack because...
Jack because Jack likes him.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty simple.
There is an ego stroke right there, you know? The kid likes me, I like the kid.
The entire film is an ego stroke to Riddick because Riddick has his own monologue going.
Oh, yeah.
And no one else's monologue is going. It's just his monologue.
That's true.
This is all from his point of view. Is he the unreliable narrator?
Oh, yeah. Is he?
And if so, I just hit on this. Maybe that explains why he's self-aggrandizing.
Maybe.
This whole film really just says how awesome he is and what a good idea it was to get your eyes shined.
Yeah.
So this sounds to me like we just hit on the fact that this is a Riddick cosplay in which Riddick is trying to convince himself that everything he's doing is right.
Exactly. Yep. Everything I did was right. And look at this. I got my eyes done and it was perfect. You know, it came in handy.
Did we just find a narcissist biography to a science fiction film?
Wait, why the heck not? Why not? Well, so the director, Tui?
Yes.
A lot of the stuff, especially like the whole space prison, were ideas that he had created for Alien 3 or Alien Cubed. I don't know, because it had the little tiny 3 up at the top.
Okay.
Yeah. So these were unused ideas. The whole space prison idea of it. So I'm thinking he means like the transport, and because they didn't elaborate on that. They just said
Yeah, because aliens had a prison planet that she did not survive.
Yes.
But it was not a great movie.
No.
I didn't like it.
Is that the one with Winona Ryder in
yes.
it? Okay.
No. That was the third one.
Well, this is Alien. It did say Alien 3, but like I said, it had little cubed.
Yeah, but that's not the Alien Planet one.
Oh, okay.
2 is the Alien Planet one. Or 3 is the Alien Planet one. And 4 is the other one.
Freaking. Okay, it's as much
Okay,
as...
so the one that Winona Ryder is in was written by Joss Whedon.
Okay. So, again, as much as I do like sci-fi, I never cared for the Alien movies. Because I don't like to get scared. I mean, I like scary things, but I don't like monsters.
Okay, it was Alien 3. I was thinking of, for Winona Ryder and them, that is Alien Resurrection.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, she's cloned.
Yes.
So she's actually, Ripley is actually a clone.
Okay.
Spoiler alert.
Ripley's a clone.
Haven't seen the movie in
I haven't.
30-something years.
But
and
I
you
never
don't want to be spoiled?
I never cared. It was never, I'm a star.
I thought 3 was good. I think there were some loose points to it I didn't care for.
Mm-hmm.
I really loved the fact that in Resurrection you had the crew of like... They're like a motley crew. It's the bunch of people that come together to make a difference, that kind of thing. But really, they're getting their asses kicked, is what it is.
I'm a Star Trek, old school Star Trek, and Next Generation Star Trek girly. So, as much as I like sci-fi and I loved Farscape, a lot of these movies just don't do much for me.
Yeah, but see, now, this one had, Winona Ryder, but it also had Ron Perlman in it.
I do like Ron Perlman.
He was an ass in it.
He usually is.
There was a lot of people in this, and it was good, but there were bad parts to it.
Mm.
On Cheers, the husband of...
Rhea
Perlman, he is the bad guy.
Oh, God.
In this.
How weird.
I know. There's no, it becomes almost comical.
That is weird.
It's hard to envision him playing a serious character.
Yeah, because I can only picture him as the dude from Cheers.
Right. Which I'm sure that actor has had many
he probably has
roles, but that's the thing I know him
from. Sorry. But
we are not doing an aliens podcast.
No, and we're not doing a sci-fi podcast. We are just doing
a sci-fi movie.
I hate to not do all of a movie in a series. Like, if we're going to do a series, I don't want to do, part 3 and not do 1 and 2. But I don't care if we do 1 and never do the others. But I really want to do, now I can't remember which one it is, but the Star Trek where they come back to Earth.
Oh, for the whales.
For the whales. That to me is my favorite.
I think that's everybody's favorite because when was that? 82?
Oh God, no.
Some crazy
it had to be later,
early thing.
It was definitely 80s, but maybe I don't remember. I just know.
Now I'm trying to think of the most outrageous time of my life it could be in. I think it was 82.
I just know that movie made me happy. But I grew up on Star Trek. I watched that with my uncles, and. There was the one alien that my uncles always called the Heiny Heads. So I just always, as a little kid, it was just the shit, And then I watched Next Generation.
Yeah, it's called The Voyage Home.
That was it. Yeah.
86.
Isn't
that crazy? That's still crazy.
I was 12.
I was thinking I was in school. I was in high school or junior high or something like that. But yeah, that makes sense.
I was 12.
86.
Holy crap.
It's insane.
Oh, okay.
So you can tell our level of commitment to Pitch Black. I like Pitch Black. I like the
movie. It's not a bad movie, but
the movie is not a thinker. It is not that deep. I am going deep because I'm trying to pull from it, but I think there is some unintentional deepness. Like with any shallow pool that is along an uneven surface, eventually you're going to hit a hole, and you're going to find a well of water there.
Yes.
Not these guys, because they're dying.
No.
From, not the desert heat necessarily, but the things in the dark.
Well, I mean, and the one thing we can say, and I know it's not time yet for Castellini, but
we're getting there. I think we plumbed a lot of this, but go ahead.
Because I do think that this movie has an equitable I wouldn't say equality. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's a feminist film, but I would say that there is, other than the weird hair smelling and Riddick calling out Jack as being on her period, there's very little like misogyny, as far as I could tell.
I think the misogyny comes from the dismissiveness of things.
There is that, but I don't know.
But it's not this outright misogyny of you're a girl, so therefore I don't listen to you.
Yeah, no, it's just that I know better than you, and now I'm going to shut you down
because I'm an asshole.
Yeah, I'm a narcissist.
Not because I'm a guy.
No,
but because I'm an asshole.
Yeah, and narcissists will shut you down regardless of their being male or female. So.
I mean, the creepiest thing was when Riddick was doing it.
Yeah, and again, the weird hair.
That intimidation, why would he do that? He wouldn't do that to a guy. So in that, I can say that,
but the thing is that she didn't know he cut her hair.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing,
But he didn't sneak up on John's and cut his hair and smell it.
And then make a wish.
Yeah.
So it was a weird thing that nobody else...
It's that predatory nature. And I think that it's instinctive for people to place that as a male-female dyad, that there has to be this opposite ends of the spectrum, and it can't be the woman who's a serial killer unless it's intentionally to flip the script.
Yeah, unless you're going to do... a woman can't be a serial killer in a movie unless... it's along the lines of Fatal Attraction, where I am blinded by love and I'm fucking crazy.
Or unintentional killer. We have the Legend of Billie Jean.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
So, yeah, they don't... it's not you're not going to get the crazy killer just for the sake of killing. Let's
go through the Castellini.
Okay.
Let's just see where it ends out.
Okay.
Instead of making these assumptions. There have to be at least 2 named women with at least 5 lines of dialogue each.
We have Shaza, we have Carolyn, we have Jack.
Right. All of them have 5 lines and more.
Yep.
Actually, Jack of the others, I think, has probably the least lines until after the midsection of the movie. It starts picking up for Jack.
Yeah, because there's less people.
Right. And I think it's at that point, it almost like they made the decision that Jack is going to be a finalist in the life lottery.
Yeah, and they're going to treat Jack a little bit more like an adult, but still protect them like a child.
I think Jack is supposed to be, and actually it shows up in the second Riddick film, is that Jack is like his friend.
Oh, okay. I didn't know Jack continued along, came back.
In a way.
And the Jack came
in a way
back
that is
the very
true.
Next day.
There's a past. In other words, time has been spent in between the 2 movies with Jack and Riddick at least knowing each other's whereabouts.
Oh, okay.
That kind of thing. So yes, we have those. They all 3 fit that category. These characters must have a conversation, but not necessarily with the other woman, either not about their partner or with their partner, future or current, and not about their relationship.
No relationships were discussed.
Not a single one.
Nobody was knocking boots and bumping uglies or anything because we were trying to stay alive.
Honestly, I was surprised that Shaza was not with the Aboriginal gentleman.
Yeah, because
they seem very close
in the beginning. Yeah, when the crash happens, and she was hugging up on him, and he was
not to say it has to be like some kind of sexual relationship, but maybe even really good friends or something.
Yeah, but she didn't seem as upset about. I mean, she was upset that he was dead, but not as upset as you would expect her to be for somebody that may have been in a relationship with them, but maybe they weren't. Yeah,
I think it's Zeke. Is his name Zeke?
I honestly don't remember now. I didn't write it down.
I think his name is Zeke.
I think his name was Ryan.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
We'll go with Ryan Zeke.
Ryan Zeke.
We're almost done with this, so it won't matter at all. We'll never mention Ryan Zeke again.
Woohoo!
At least one of the women has to be integral to the plot, meaning that if she were written out of the film, it couldn't reach the same ending.
Well, let's see. Yeah, no, we could. It wouldn't have, because we wouldn't have had.
I think it's.
That's a hard one.
I think you're on the right track, but maybe missing one of the details of it. And let me see if I can illuminate something here, or you can tell me that you already saw that.
Okay.
Carolyn Fry. Fries go better with burgers.
It was Zeke. You were right. John Zeke Ezekiel.
We're going with Ryan Zeke. So Carolyn Fry is integral to the plot, but not for the reason that you think. And I'm gonna just assume that you think what the movie is telling you. Uh-huh. Just outright telling you, and not the underneath that. I think that Carolyn Fry, throughout this, has been on a hero's journey, right? At the end, she gives her life. Who does she give her life to?
She gives it up for him.
Incorrect.
Well, no, she doesn't. I didn't think she gave her life up. I thought she just got fucking snatched.
Well, she did, but she gave her life up the moment she decided to leave the ship and go get him.
That is true. But it was mostly I feel like it was for the kid.
It was for the group that she was with.
Yeah.
It was for those two, not for him. She says it very clearly. I'm not going to die for you. I said I'd die for them. I didn't say I would die for you.
And even then, like, she was like, didn't she make a comment about, like, how he could find his way back? You know, he
right.
Yeah, so...
But she knew, because she heard the screaming, she left the ship to go find them because they still had to save these two.
Yeah.
So they're on the ship just waiting to die, I guess.
Yeah.
Eventually the power will run out and they can't fly a ship.
Yeah.
She goes off with the bug light, the worm light, the creature light, and tries to find Riddick, and he's been fighting two creatures that almost kill him.
Yes.
So he's hurt pretty badly, and she's trying to carry him to the ship in the rain, which already adds 10 pounds, as well as the 10 pounds from the camera. So you got 20 pounds you're trying to carry on top of, Riddick's considerable weight, because he's all muscle mass. And hairless, so you got nothing to grab onto.
I know. You can't even, like, grab
How are you supposed to drag him by his braid if he doesn't have the braid? So
we've lost it.
I have not lost the plot, because Carolyn Fry gives herself up for them. It's specifically stated. She says it. He accepts that and is upset about it. But also, I think that's a lie. I think that's yet another lie. She did not give her life up for the kid or for the holy man.
No, she just got fucking sucked out of the...
No.
Yeah.
I know she got grabbed by the creature, but you're looking at the act and not the position that she gave herself. She made a choice. Why did she make that choice?
Her guilt. I mean, eventually she was going to have to face that.
Right. So why did she make the choice to leave the two in the ship and go get Riddick to bring him back?
Because she knew she wasn't going to come back, and this way she doesn't have to deal with...
Did she not know she was going to come back? Because she had no reason not to come back.
I don't know. I literally don't know.
Here's my belief. She did not die for them, and she did not die for him. She died for herself.
Okay.
She left the ship to go get Riddick, not because she wanted to save Riddick, but because she is still replaying that first action in her head, that if she brings him back, it absolves her of that sin.
Oh, yeah.
And by sin, I mean it absolves her of that moral ambiguity
that she's living in her head, yeah.
I think she did this to save herself. She can tell herself it was to save the kid or the guy or the other guy with the shiny eyes. He's got the shinin.
The shinin.
If that is all true, that's fine. It's stated there very clearly that that's what happens in the movie. But I think the subtext is that she was actually saving her own soul.
I guess so, yeah. No, I could see that.
Now, she dies to do it.
Yes.
But
and
she
then he's yelling, not for me!
And he's upset at that, and he should be. That feels like a betrayal. That no one cares about him, and he's supposed to care about other people. He's supposed to make these moral decisions about other people and care about them, despite them not caring about him at all. Mm-hmm. I think that throughout the film, or at least the second film, because I don't think I saw the third, that Jack is that person who does care about him.
Well, and that's one thing. So that's when he at the end, so he realizes that she cares, even though she's, like you said, most likely doing it for her own, I'm going to save him type of thing.
Right.
So she's trying to save him, and he realizes, oh shit, somebody cares. He knows Jack cares because Jack has been trying to emulate him the whole entire time. But the religious Muslim gentleman, he has been very kind to him the whole entire time. Very respectful, very kind. And even when they discuss religion, whenever Riddick is like, about it, he is like, that's okay. You do you, dude. I'm going to do me. And I think Riddick just appreciated that in spite of all of that, that man kept true to himself. And that there's got to be, I can respect anybody who can be true to themselves without pushing themselves onto other people to be different.
So you remember what I said at the first of this podcast was that the people that survived, they were the ones that made the moral choices. Mm-hmm. But if you also look at the fact that the film is not actually an external film watching them, but is seen through Riddick's eyes as the unreliable narrator.
They're people who matter to him.
It's those people who made the moral choice in his eyes that survived.
Yeah. He wasn't indifferent towards them. He began to not so much care, but acknowledge and appreciate them.
You can acknowledge something without caring about it.
Exactly. Where everybody else was either people who he didn't like or people who he was indifferent towards.
Right. Or downright antagonistic to them.
Yeah.
So it does pass the Castellini test. It is a feminist film. It will be shown in the right before and after the L word every episode. They can do that now through AI.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it passes a Castellini. Yes. And I think that it does it mainly out of indifference more than anything else.
I think so too. I don't think there's no intention to be a feminist film. It was just the indifference towards, or the ambiguity towards gender to begin with. It wasn't about men and women, or women being less, or men being better or was stronger. It was just about surviving. So being about survival is ambiguous in itself. You're trying to live. And
they show that there are a couple of instances in which gender becomes an issue.
Well, because people's gonna people,
because they're showing that Johns is an asshole.
Oh, yeah. And people are going to people at some point. There's going to be somebody in your group. Regardless, you can have a hand-picked group of all the greatest people that you know in your life that you would trust with your life. And there's going to still be that one motherfucker who's going to say the shit that's going to piss everybody off. And you're going to be like, why are you my friend?
And that is why you should have a categorized list of who you would eat first and who you would eat second and third and fourth.
I don't have enough friends for that.
It's an easier list.
I think I'm on everybody's list as the first to go, so that's probably why I don't have a lot of friends.
I think that you would be very high up on most people's list, only because you're so sweet.
Yeah, they just want me to shut up. And quit bitching.
I don't think that's the case. But this is a good movie. Mm-hmm. For me,
it's not a bad movie.
It's a good science fiction movie that doesn't need a lot of science fiction.
I am the one who thought about putting it on the list. So, I don't...
Did the CGI live up? Kind of, yeah, because if it's dark, you don't have to see anything.
That's true. That is true.
And I think that's brilliant because at the time, there was not a lot of CGI that was going to live up to hype.
No.
But when you have the way that the advertisements were done, the promos for this, was so little was shown.
Yes.
And it was all very dark. The promo itself was like pitch black. It was literally black, and then you hear monologue and stuff like that. I remember being excited about this film only because of the promos.
So I'm gonna quiz you. Why would this film not be a film I would be excited about watching?
Because it was in 2000?
No.
Because it's pitch and black? And you
You're
thought
very-
it was Pitch Perfect? And
No.
therefore, it was not
Pitch
the
Perfect
movie?
didn't come out for like another 12 years. So,
Vin Diesel pissed you off?
no. Think about my fear.
Oh, I get it. You have a fear of reptiles. You're afraid of Aborigines? That seems racist.
This is what I live with, people. Every day. I'm afraid of the dark. I am terrified of the dark. I don't like the dark. The
You know, I
dark.
was going to make you say it.
You can't see it, but I'm giving her the finger because she's a big
And I'm
ass.
keeping that finger, so she will not get it back.
I'm gonna throw a cat at her because I've got a sleeping cat in my lap this whole entire time. I am very afraid of the dark, and so a movie where you are most of the time in the dark, yeah, that in itself scares me. Fuck the monsters. I am afraid of the dark.
I enjoy this film because it uses the darkness to great effect. Do I think they spent way too much time talking about his eyes?
Yes.
Or using his eyes in this really, like, non-scientific way? Sure. I think it was probably, overdone.
Also, they needed to pick a fucking lane. Because one minute they're having a conversation about them possibly using echolocation to know, and then the next minute they're like, no, it's movement. And the next minute I know it's multiple creatures, but still pick a fucking lane.
Well, I think there was a combination of it needed movement to, it's like any predator, something running away from you
Yeah.
will cause their
Which makes
instinct.
sense, yeah.
So that's why I got catamount stuck in my head.
And then the sounds, they were like, why does it keep making that noise? And they're like, well, maybe that's how it locates stuff, which would have been fine too, because again, darkness, echolocation makes sense. That's how bats function. But then people
I
are
don't
just
think
being so damn loud.
I honestly don't know if maybe that's different characters, like different aliens
Yeah, I mean,
had
and
different
it could be.
abilities. I think maybe the flying ones used echolocation.
Yeah.
But the ones on the ground that they actually show the sight from, that looks like it's not using that. It
No, but it
looks
has
like
a
they're
weird
kind of using LiDAR in a way.
Yeah, it's like a staticky kind of
Right.
vision.
But I
of
think
things.
that's part of the side mounted pods on
Yeah.
each one, the hammerhead look. I think that is kind of what that was.
And then I had just watched those videos about it's a Ukrainian play about witches, about women who were being drowned as witches, and it's this haunting. They're singing and then they're drowning, and it's just this haunting sounds that they make, and they're making the sounds of the aliens. This one woman, and it's just that's all I kept thinking through the whole entire time we're watching it. Is I kept thinking of that play that I just saw the clip from on TikTok. So yeah, it was crazy because it was it's a weird sound anyway.
I get it.
It's like I can't.
So how do you feel about this movie now?
Kind of the same. I mean, not gonna lie, it's not what I'm gonna go and actively try to watch. If it's on, I'll watch it. If you put it on, or back in the day where you're clicking around and somebody's in the room and they put on TV and a movie and it's on. That's how I see most of the movies I watch that are not like planned to watch. And I feel the same. It's not something I'm gonna actively search for, but it's not a bad movie.
Well, I think the way that we view movies and TV shows has changed so drastically in our lifetimes.
Oh, yeah.
From having to wait until something airs or something goes on at the movie theaters or gets replayed again at the theaters.
Yeah.
To then we have more access to things like HBO and Cinemax, to where we got movies that would replay pretty much constantly on a loop. Throughout a few months, and then it would change to another set of movies, to renting videos on VHS and then DVD, in which we could go and rent them whenever we like and watch them several times in a couple of days and then send it back.
Yeah.
Or forget it and it gets racked up on charges for the rest of your life.
And so now we have streaming services where you have multiple streaming services and at any point you can watch whatever you want to watch.
Right. And that means there's more to watch.
Yes.
And you have more access to all of those things that you might want to watch. Mm-hmm. That's why I find myself in some ways seeing less of the things I remember. Pitch Black would not come up as the thing to watch again.
Yeah.
Mainly because I've seen it so many times when I had the DVD. Mm-hmm. I still have it in the other room.
Oh, yeah.
Why we went to a streaming service instead of playing it on the DVD player?
It was easier.
It was easier.
And well, I mean, even like when we did Legend, I love Legend. It is up there with my, my multiple fantasy movies that I love dearly, but I don't watch them. Like, I haven't watched any of them. I have them all on DVD, but I haven't watched them in forever. Well, most of them are sitting in my classroom at this moment. The last time I had watched Legend was I watched it with my sixth graders 5 years ago, So it's not like I actively want to watch these movies now because it's just not, it's not the same as it was.
It isn't. And in some ways, I think it's better. In some ways, I think it's worse.
Yeah.
I think it's lost It's kind of like air travel. Being on a plane used to be a thing where you felt like you were flying in a really nice luxury style. Mm-hmm. And now it feels like you're crammed onto a bus in a city bus.
Yeah.
And that is the way it just kind of generally feels through air travel now, no matter what you do. Even in the 80s, you got better a better feeling about flying. You felt more like part of a special thing, that you're on a plane and, you got the little dinner, or you got, people smoked on board. It was really weird that you could smoke and stuff like, there were little ashtrays in the handles. Mm-hmm. But now you lose all of that. It's a mass. It's about moving mass, getting as much mass as possible from one area to another. It is transport and it is logistics. It is down to just the science of it without any humanity.
Did I ever tell you one of the few times I have flown when I was pregnant with my first, this man, he was mad because we wouldn't switch seats with him and his wife. And I was going to not sit by myself. I was going to stay with, and he wanted to switch with me and I wouldn't move. And my ex was like, no, she's pregnant. And when we stood up to get off the plane, the man put his hand on the back of the seat because he was in front of me, put his hand on the back of the seat where my belly was and pushed as if to make sure it was real. Put his hand.
That's rude.
Yeah,
That's
very
rude.
rude. Yeah, it's one of my many, I hate flying stories, but that was one of them, yes.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't that, I was about 6 months pregnant, but dude, he like jabbed his fingers right at my belly. No wonder my son's the way he is.
Somebody would have lost a hand.
Yeah, well, that was also 94. So looking back now, if I wished I had been the person that I am now, I would have broken his fingers. And I would have been banned from airlines for the rest of my life, which would not have been bad. But, yeah, I would have owned his life. But I was a baby then, and I was not going to say anything.
I get that. So yeah, this movie, it was a thing.
It was a thing.
It was in the way that Jack Reacher tends to be self-aggrandizing, the books. Mm-hmm. This is self-aggrandizing in many ways. I find cringe. Mm-hmm. It spends a lot of time saying how awesome he is.
Yeah.
In the monologue and everything else. I don't think that's necessarily. I don't think that's necessarily the actor's fault. I think that's the way it was written.
Yeah. There were a lot of lines that I know that Vin Diesel wasn't 100% with. Like, I think there's one where he kills one of the creatures and he's like, I'm fucking better than you, or something along those lines. He curses it out, and he was not happy with that line, but when they did the audience testing, people liked it. So he was like, well, I guess it's okay. So yeah, it's definitely, it's got its questionable kind of creepy moments. But if you would like to watch this movie on your own, in your own home, in the dark, you can watch it on Peacock and Amazon, Google Play, Apple TV, Fandango. It runs about $3.79 to $3.99, or it's free if you have a service, which isn't really technically free. But there you go.
Well, we hope that your journey through the darkness resonated with you, that you found the light in the end, perhaps a little redemption. If you have the shinin, might be a little easier. This has been Once More with Feelings with Beth and Michelle. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at OMWFPod. Visit our page at oncemorewithfeelings.podbean.com. Or you can send us an email, omwfpod@gmail.com. Take a moment to subscribe and rate us on iTunes or wherever you listen to our podcasts.
Our next episode, here are the clues. One of the actors in this movie was not prepped for his audition and ended up singing the Full House theme.
It was me.
It was you. And it was Vin Diesel. And my other clue is that one of the characters says they were born with gills like a fish.
Things to ponder.
So if you have an idea of what we're going to watch next week, drop us a line.
It's a fish called Wanda, isn't it?
No, not this time.
Damn it. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
You said clear.
I said it looks clear.
Well, what's it look like now?
Looks clear.